Welcome, travelers. This is the Baseball Time Machine. For the first half of the 20th century, Major League Baseball was segregated. With the signings of Jackie Robinson and Larry Doby, the door was opened for African Americans to show their stuff and prove that they were deserving of the opportunity to compete. Many superstars were produced as a result of this decision. At the plate, guys like Willie Mays and Hank Aaron became immortals through Major League Baseball. In 2006, 14-year MLB veteran Jim Mudcat Grant wrote a book titled The Black Aces, baseball's only African American 20-game winners. The book highlighted 13 pitchers who achieved the feat. It acknowledged their predecessors, obstacles, and the determination that it took for them to get there. Mudcat is a black ace himself, but he wasn't the first. Who was? Let's step into the portal and find out. Don Newcombe was not only the first black ace, but one of the first black major league players. Before he was signed by the Dodgers, he played a few seasons in the Negro Leagues with the Newark Eagles. Nuke was a special talent who would wind up having 3 seasons in which he accumulated 20 wins. His first came in 1951, where he went 20-9 with an MLB-leading 164 strikeouts. This earned him a 3rd consecutive trip to the All-Star game. After missing the 1952 and 53 seasons to serve in the military, and an off year upon his return in 1954, Don shined in 1955. He went 20-5 with a .320 ERA. He and the Dodgers won it all that year, defeating the Yankees in 7 games. 55 was a fun season full of success, but 1956 was pure magic. Newcombe won a whopping 27 games, along with a career-best .306 ERA. For his efforts, he won the first ever Major League Cy Young Award, as well as NL MVP. The first ever Cy Young Award won by an African-American pitcher. That's special. To this day, Nuke and Justin Verlander are the only 2 players in MLB history to win Rookie of the Year, MVP, and a Cy Young Award. It's a little surprising that there hasn't been more conversation regarding Don Newcombe's Hall of Fame case, but ultimately his 12-year career was just too short for voters to consider him. Of course, Jackie and Larry played around that long, but it's different when you're the first. Nonetheless, Nuke will forever be the original member of the Black Aces. Toothpick Sam Jones joined the club next, winning 21 games for the San Francisco Giants in 1959. Known for throwing hard and wild, Jones had mixed success throughout his career. Like Newcombe, Jones got his start in the Negro Leagues. Cleveland picked him up, but he didn't find any success until he was traded to the Cubs for future Hall of Famer Ralph Kiner. On May 12, 1955, Sam became the first African-American major leaguer to throw a no-hitter, holding Roberto Clemente and the Pirates 9 innings without a hit. But his best season definitely came in 1959. His 21 wins led the NL, as did his career-best .283 ERA. He finished second in Major League Cy Young voting behind Chicago's early win. Looking at their numbers side by side, a case can be made that Jones should have won the award. Jones may have only had a few high-quality seasons, but did just enough to put himself in special company. Here comes Mudcat. The intellectual founder of the Black Aces, Jim Grant's best season was one in which he won 21 games, leading the American League. His 1965 was the first 20-win season by an African American in American League history. Grant also made his only World Series appearance in '65, as he and the Twins fell to the Dodgers in 7 games. Grant made the most of it though, going 2-1 with 2 complete game victories and even a 3-run homer in Game 6. The rest of his career was quiet for the most part, but in 1970 he became one of 7 players in MLB history to record seasons of 20 saves and 20 wins. Post-playing career, Grant served on the Negro League Baseball Museum's board, as well as the MLB Alumni Association. He often gave talks about his career and everything he overcame throughout the years. He loved baseball, especially black baseball, and gave back to the game any chance he could. It's safe to say that Bob Gibson is the greatest African-American pitcher of all time. Feared on the field, revered off of it, Gibby dominated hitters with pure intimidation and power. He joined the Black Aces in 1965, shortly after Mudcat. He would win 20-plus games in 5 separate seasons, something a few pitchers have done. He was a workhorse throughout his career, throwing 20-plus complete games in a season 7 times. His best and most famous season came in 1968. Gibson went 22-9 with a 1.12 ERA, one of the lowest single-season ERAs in MLB history, as well as 268 strikeouts and an 11.2 WAR. He was crowned NL MVP and NL Cy Young. Next season, the mound was lower. There's no doubt that this was largely in part due to Bob's dominance 1 year prior. A 9-time All-Star, 9-time Gold Glove winner, and 2-time World Series champion, Gibby had quite the resume. It's no surprise that he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1981. The first of 2 Hall of Famers in the Black Aces, Bob Gibson is one of the best ever. The second Hall of Famer in the group, Fergie Jenkins had a run of success like few ever have. He won 20-plus games in 6 consecutive seasons. After a slow start to his career, this is how he decided to hit his prime. He led the league in several statistics during that span, and even won the NL Cy Young Award in 1971. After the 1973 season, Fergie was traded to the Texas Rangers. In his first season there, he posted the best pitching season in franchise history, winning an MLB best and career-high 25 games, the 7th season in which he won 20+. He also led MLB with an exhausting 29 complete games. He finished second in AL Cy Young voting, only trailing Oakland's Catfish Hunter, but was able to win AL Comeback Player of the Year. Although he never found the postseason, his career was full of personal success. He became the first player in MLB history to record over 3,000 strikeouts and less than 1,000 walks. Only 5 pitchers have accomplished that level of efficiency since. In 1991, his third year on the ballot, Fergie Jenkins was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Fergie was one of the greatest pitchers of his generation and was more than deserving of Cooperstown. Earl Wilson had an 11-year MLB career and accomplished quite a bit over the years. The first black pitcher to play for the Boston Red Sox, Earl no-hit the California Angels in 1962. In his first full season after being traded to the Detroit Tigers, Wilson gained entry into the Black Aces, winning an MLB best 22 games. The following year, Earl and the Tigers defeated Bob Gibson's Cardinals in the World Series. Wilson was also one of the best power-hitting pitchers in baseball history. In 740 career at-bats, Wilson slugged 35 homers and drove in 111 runs. A career full of highs and lows, Earl Wilson hit his prime in Detroit and in turn gained access to a special club. The first African-American pitcher in New York Yankees history, Al Downing was also the first Yankees pitcher to record an immaculate inning. Nicknamed the Black Sandy Koufax, Downing joined the Black Aces with Sandy's Dodgers in 1971. He went 20-9 with a 2.68 ERA, good for a third-place finish in NL Cy Young voting. Despite a few very good years, Al is best remembered for giving up Hank Aaron's 715th career home run, the one that made him the all-time home run king. On that day, he was on the wrong side of history, but he'll forever be on the right side of history as a member of the Black Aces. Vida Blue was one of the most dominant pitchers of the 1970s, as was his team, the Athletics. Blue and the A's three-peated, winning the World Series in 1972, 73, and 74. But for Vida, it would be the year before the three-peat where he was at his best. He went 24-8 with a minuscule 1.82 ERA, along with 301 strikeouts in 312 innings. He was awarded the AL Cy Young and AL MVP awards, as well as admission into the Black Aces. At only 22 years old, Blue remains the youngest to win the American League Cy Young Award. He won 20-plus games in 2 more seasons, tossed 2 no-hitters, and even became the first pitcher to start the All-Star game in both leagues. Only 4 pitchers have done it since. Vida is one of those pitchers where you question why he never made it to Cooperstown. Inconsistency and a suspension after his time with Oakland could be to blame. Either way, Vida Blue goes down in baseball history as an underrated ace. J.R. Richards' story is one that many in the baseball world have heard. The number 2 overall pick in 1969, Richard was having the best season of his career in 1980 until he suffered a stroke and would never pitch in the major leagues again. Post-baseball, he battled homelessness and even found himself living under a bridge for a short period. Thankfully, he overcame hard times to become a guest speaker on civil rights in baseball. He joined the Black Aces in 1976, his first quality season. He went 20-15 with a 2.75 ERA, 214 Ks, and 14 complete games. He would continue to improve, posting seasons of over 300 strikeouts in 1978 and 1979. Richards' life post-baseball is arguably more newsworthy, but JR had some of baseball's best strikeout stuff for a few seasons. When Billy Martin was hired as A's manager in 1980, Mike Norris's career did a full 180. After going 12-25 with a 4.67 ERA in his first 5 seasons, Norris struck gold under Billy. He went 22-9 with a 2.53 ERA in 1980, the best season of his career by far. He finished second in AL Cy Young voting, only trailing Baltimore's Steve Stone. Norris would excel next season as well, getting named to his first and only All-Star game, but arm and drug problems would sour the remainder of his career. He made a comeback as a reliever in 1990, 7 years after his last MLB appearance. It was pretty solid, but wouldn't play again after that. It all came together in 1980 though, gaining Norris admission into the Black Aces. Few players had better starts to their career than Dwight Gooden. Doc was the definition of phenom. He won the NL Rookie of the Year award in 1984, going 17-9 with a 2.60 ERA and 276 Ks, which led MLB. There was no such thing as a sophomore slump for Gooden, as he punched his ticket into the Black Aces in 1985. He went an insane 24-4 with 268 strikeouts and a 1.53 ERA. He led the National League in innings pitched and complete games. He led all of baseball in wins, ERA, strikeouts, and more. This earned him the pitching Triple Crown as well as the NL Cy Young Award. He even won the World Series with the Mets his 3rd year. In his first 3 seasons, he went a combined 58-19 with a 2.28 ERA. There was no one better than Dr. K. Unfortunately, His career had some ups and downs after that, as injury and drug problems limited his production and playing time. The final highlight of his career came in 1996, where as a member of the Yankees, he no-hit a Mariners team stacked with legends Ken Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez, and Alex Rodriguez. Things may have fallen apart at times, but Doc still accomplished more than most pitchers, and gifted us with one of the most impressive seasons in his 1985 campaign. Dave Stewart hit rock bottom in 1986 when he was released by the Phillies. The Oakland Athletics took a chance on him, and the 4-year run that followed was like few others. In 1987, his first full season with the A's, Smoke bounced back, winning MLB Best 20 games. He would go on to win 20-plus games in each of the next 3 seasons. In 1989, Stewart and the A's won the World Series, sweeping their rivals from across the bay. Dave was named World Series MVP after going 2-0 with a 1.69 ERA. Stewart had gone from mediocrity to utter stardom. He won 84 games over those 4 seasons and made 3 trips to the Fall Classic. He'd go on to win another World Series in 1993, this time with the Toronto Blue Jays. Stewart had his best years in Oakland though, and was awarded by having his number 34 retired by the A's in 2019. With a clear-cut prime, you can tell when Smoke was at his best. Dontrelle Willis joined the club in 2005, less than a year before the book was published. He won an MLB Best 22 games, and topped the league in complete games and shutouts as well. He finished second in NL Cy Young voting, closely trailing Cardinals ace Chris Carpenter. This only came 2 years after he took home the NL Rookie of the Year award. Willis remained a key arm on the Marlins pitching staff until he was involved in a blockbuster trade in 2007, one that sent him and teammate Miguel Cabrera to the Detroit Tigers for 6 players. He struggled mightily following the trade. The rest of his career, he only went 4-15 with a 6.15 ERA. He was traded around, retired, tried to come back, but was unsuccessful in the end. His time with the Marlins was special though, and he's remembered more for those early years. CC Sabathia was a one-of-a-kind ballplayer. With an attitude as big as he was, few provided the kind of presence he did on the mound. A Cy Young Award winner in 2007 with Cleveland, Sabathia was put into the spotlight when he signed a 7-year, $161 million deal with the New York Yankees before the 2009 season. He made an instant impact as the Yankees won the World Series in 2009, their first since 2000. The following year was great for CC, as he went 21-7 with a 3.18 ERA. Surprisingly, 2010 was his only season with 20-plus wins. He had 3 seasons in which he finished with 19. But with over 250 wins and 3,000 strikeouts, it looks like Sabathia may be Cooperstown bound in just a few years. David Price, the most recent Black Ace to join the club, had everything go right for him in 2012. He went 20-5 with an AL-leading 2.56 ERA and 205 Ks, earning him the AL Cy Young Award. The number 1 pick in the 2007 draft, Price remains the best pitcher in Rays franchise history. In typical Rays fashion, they traded their star pitcher to the Detroit Tigers in 2014. He was traded again the following year to Toronto before signing with Boston in the offseason. He'd win a World Series with the Red Sox in 2018, pitching very well in his second Fall Classic. He and Mookie Betts were then moved out to LA in one of the most one-sided trades this century. If 2022 was David Price's final year, he went out strong as one of LA's strongest bullpen pieces. The unfortunate truth is that there aren't many African American Major League players in the present day, especially pitchers. Baseball is a game that's played and loved globally, yet it largely lacks diversity. In 2022, for the first time since 1950, there were no black players in the World Series. Hopefully young black ball players can find inspiration in the Black Aces, and other greats like Willie, Hank, and of course, Jackie. This has been the Baseball Time Machine. Thanks for traveling with us.